How's everybody doing today? Today I'm going to go over a video which just talks about different formulas in Excel, FX formulas. We've already looked at some formulas in Excel. We've used, for example, the equal sign sum formula, and we've used the equal sign average formula. Excel has literally hundreds of different formulas that you can use to do a variety of different tasks. I'm going to show you some of them, and then we'll take a look at some of the other ones that you can search for. Here's an example I've got. Counts the number of cells in a range that contain numbers. So here's my range. My range I set at B3 through B12, which is my yellow area. And this command will find out how many numbers are in this range. So it says there's 7. Let's see if it's right. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The nice thing about this formula, like all formulas, it'll update. If I add a number here, notice this formula changes to 8. The next one down counts the number of cells that are not empty. So it says, all right, here's my range, B3 through B12. How many of these cells are not empty? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9 of them are not empty. Here's an interesting one. Counts the number of cells in a range that meet a criteria. So again, I've got the same range, but I'm saying count if greater than 5,000. So it'll tell me how many of these numbers are greater than 5,000. If I, again, change something, like right now I've got a 5 here. If I say, all right, what if I put 5,001? What happens is this updates to 6. Sum if, it's a little bit like the count one, count if, but what it'll do is it'll sum the values if a particular condition is true. So sum if B3 through B12 greater than 5,000, it's not just summing all the numbers in this range, it's only including the numbers in the sum which are greater than 5,000. I've got a function called max, which will just pick out the maximum number in a range. Here my range was C4 through C11, so it says my maximum was 7,677. Actually picking it out of this range now. Here I've got minimum. My range is D4 through D11, so it says what's the minimum number. I picked out this one. Sum table, you can actually name a table, give it a name. So now I called this table TIGA. So now I just say sum TIGA, and it sums that whole table, all the numbers in that table. One of my favorite FX formulas is the monthly payment formula. If you're going to go out and get a loan, let's say for example you're going to go buy a car and you need to get a loan for $12,000. You're going to pay this off over 3 years, which is 36 months. And your interest rate is 9%. When you use this formula, you do have to take whatever your interest rate is and divide it by 12. This formula requires you to enter a monthly interest rate, not a yearly interest rate. So if I put this information in, here's my formula, equal sign PMT. I say, all right, B23, that's where my monthly interest rate is. B24, that's my number of payments. B25, that's how much I'm going to borrow. Says, okay, that's my numbers. Here's my monthly payment, $381.60. Let's say I change something. I decide, well, I want to pay this over 5 years. It says, all right, then I'm only going to have to pay $249 a month. Let's say I need to borrow $15,000 instead of $12,000. Says, oh, now my payment's $311. But you can pretty much put in whatever you want for numbers. Even if you're, going to buy a house, let's say your house was $150,000, you're going to finance it over 30 years. So you got to figure out how many months that is. Figure out your interest rate, but it'll pretty much calculate whatever loan you have to go get. The other thing that I love about the FX formulas is you can search. If you just hit FX and it says here type in a brief description of what you want. Let's say I'm a business major and I'm asked to do future value of an investment. So I just type in future value, I hit go, and I find it. FV is the function, returns the future value of an investment based on periodic constant payments and a constant interest rate. If I say OK, what it does is it brings me to a window that helps me build this formula. It says, all right, this is what you need for the rate. If I click on NPR, I'm not sure, well, what's NPR? It's the total number of payments in the investment. All right. PMT is the payment made each period. So it kind of explains these items. I can enter numbers, I can hit OK, and then it will put that formula out there for me. Another example, let's say you're taking a statistics class and you are asked to figure out standard deviation. I'm going to look for a formula for standard deviation. I hit go, it finds one, I hit OK, it says, all right, here I am. I've got my formula window. I can type in numbers. I could actually, if I had the numbers already typed in, I could hit a range. Like I could say cells A1 through A100. It'll take numbers, it'll take whatever I want. Anyhow, it says the standard deviation of these numbers was 12.78997. So it's just a way for you to really take a formula which might be pretty complex and just have Excel make it easier for you. Just so you can see this formula, what it does, all you need to give it is the 3 pieces of information. This is back to the PMT formula. If you were to calculate this by hand, this is what the PMT formula looks like if you calculated it by hand. So the Excel, it's really doing quite a bit for you. All you need to do is give it the pertinent information and it will churn out the correct answer for you. So a lot there. Like I say, there are literally hundreds and hundreds of formulas. So what I try to get people to just understand is, hey, if you're looking for a formula, you're working with Excel, type it in the description, see if you can find it. Maybe it's there, maybe it's not, but it certainly has a lot to offer. Anyhow, hopefully this was helpful. We'll see you next time.